Have you ever meticulously built your entire future with someone brick by brick, only to watch them light a match and burn it all to the ground? My wife made a choice about her body, and I respected it. But when her choice revealed years of deception, I made a choice of my own. I divorced her and built a new life with her sister. My name is Julian, and I'm a planner. It's not just a quirk, it's the very core of who I am. At 32, my life was a testament to foresight and dedication. I planned my finances with spreadsheets, my career with 5-year goals, and my vacations with detailed itineraries. For 8 incredible years, the centerpiece of all my planning was my wife, Ara. We were a team, a unit, moving in perfect sync toward a future we had designed together. We dated for 3 years, a whirlwind of late-night talks and shared dreams, and we'd been married for 5, turning those dreams into tangible realities. Our master plan, the one we'd sketched out on a crinkled bar napkin on our 2nd anniversary, was our North Star. It was simple, achievable, and beautiful. Step 1, obliterate her student loans. Check. We did it in 4 years instead of 6. Step 2, save an aggressive down payment for our dream home. Check. We hit our goal 18 months ahead of schedule, thanks to disciplined saving and my inheritance. Step 3, buy the house. Check. 3 months ago, we stood in the doorway of a charming 2-story colonial, the keys feeling heavy and full of promise in my hand. The final step, the one everything had been leading up to, was to start our family. I was more than ready. I was buzzing with an excitement that felt like electricity under my skin. The moment we closed on the house, I started working on the nursery. I know, it might seem premature, but I couldn't help myself. I spent weeks, surrounded by flat-pack boxes and confusing instructions, painstakingly assembling a crib, a changing table, and a little rocking chair. I wasn't just building furniture. I was building a welcome for the child we had planned for, the child I already loved. The room smelled of fresh paint, a soft, hopeful yellow, and possibility. I remember standing there with Ara, my arm around her waist, pulling her close. I looked around the quiet, empty room and whispered, 2 years from now, this room won't be so quiet. She smiled back at me. At least I thought it was a smile. Looking back now, it was more like a mask, a carefully constructed facade that hid a truth so devastating it would shatter my world. The verdict, when it came, wasn't delivered in a heartfelt conversation or a tearful confession. It was an execution, swift and merciless, delivered over a plate of pasta on a Tuesday night. I was rambling on, talking about my plans to convert the small office into a playroom down the line, filled with toys and laughter. Ara carefully placed her fork down on her plate. The small clink of metal against ceramic was the only sound in the room. She looked up, and her eyes, the eyes I had looked into every day for 8 years, were cold, distant, and completely unreadable. "I'm not having kids, Julian," she said, her voice flat, devoid of any emotion. "I've scheduled my 2-ball legation for next month. It's done." Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that pressed in on me from all sides. It was so loud, it felt like a physical force, a tangible thing that stole the air from my lungs. Every plan we had ever made, every late-night whisper about baby names, every dream we had supposedly shared, it all just evaporated. It turned to smoke and vanished right before my eyes. My mind raced, trying to catch up, trying to make sense of the words she had just spoken. To ball ligation, no kids, ever. It was a declaration of war on the future I had poured my entire soul into building. I could feel a storm of anger, confusion, and betrayal brewing inside me, but when I spoke, my voice was eerily calm. "Okay," I said. Ara blinked, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. I could see it then. She had been bracing for a fight. She was expecting me to yell, to plead, to try and negotiate with her, but I did none of that. "Okay," I repeated, picking up my own fork. "It's your body, Ara. Your choice." A wave of relief washed over her face, and a small, triumphant smile played on her lips. "I knew you'd understand," she said, her voice softening. I don't want to give up my life, you know. Our life. We can travel, be spontaneous, have fun." I just nodded and forced myself to take another bite of pasta. It tasted like ash in my mouth. I didn't understand. Not at all. And if she thought for 1 second that I would simply roll over and accept this, then she didn't know me at all. This wasn't just a change of heart. This was a fundamental betrayal of everything our marriage was supposed to stand for. She hadn't just decided she didn't want children. She had unilaterally ripped up the contract of our life together. She had watched me buy a house with a yard for our future kids. She had stood beside me in the nursery I built with my own hands. She had let me dream a dream she had absolutely no intention of ever sharing. She had watched me, and she had said nothing. That wasn't a change of heart. That was deception. That was fraud. ignored. The next morning, the house felt different. The air was thick with unspoken words and shattered promises. While Ara was at her 7 a.m. spin class, seeking endorphins and self-congratulation, I was making calls. My first was to a divorce lawyer, a man whose voice was as clinical and efficient as the decision I had just made. My second call was to my bank. I packed a single bag, methodically folding my clothes, my movements calm and deliberate. I transferred exactly half the money from our joint savings account, my half, the money that came from my family's inheritance, into a new account. That was in my name and my name only. I walked through the house, our dream home, and it felt like a museum of a life that had never truly existed. I took only one thing from the walls, a ridiculously oversized, custom-made map of the world. We had bought it together on a whim, and our plan was to fill it with pins, marking all the incredible places we would one day take our children. Now, it was just a painful reminder of a shared lie. When Ara returned, glowing and energized from her workout, I was sitting on the sofa in the living room, a single manila folder resting on my lap. "What's that?" she asked, her smile bright and unsuspecting. "Divorce papers," I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. "Our plan is over, Ara, which means we are too." The transformation was immediate and startling. The smug confidence, the self-satisfied entitlement, it all curdled on her face, twisting into a mask of pure disbelief. "You're divorcing me over kids?" she sputtered, her voice rising. "That's insane, Julian. We have a great life." "No," I corrected her, my voice low and steady. "You have the life you want. I was actively and emotionally investing in a life you secretly had no intention of ever living. That isn't a partnership. That's a betrayal." For days, my phone was a constant barrage of her rage and confusion. Calls, voicemails, a flood of desperate, angry texts. She accused me of throwing everything away for a hypothetical person who didn't even exist. But she was wrong. I wasn't throwing our marriage away for a hypothetical child. I was ending it because of a very, very real betrayal. As predicted, Ara's shock quickly morphed into incandescent rage. The divorce proceedings turned messy. Her new favorite word became alimony, claiming that my sudden and cruel abandonment had caused her so much emotional distress that she was unable to work. It was a transparent delay tactic, a way to punish me. But her pettiness reached its peak when she decided to fight me over a piece of furniture, a large wooden art cabinet that I had designed and built myself years before we were even married. It was the one thing, besides my clothes and the map, that I insisted on taking. It held a secret compartment in the base, a design inspired by a treasure box my grandfather, a master woodworker, had made for me as a child. His plan was to pass down his old carving tools to me inside it. My plan was to do the same for my own son or daughter, passing down those very same tools in a piece of furniture I had crafted with my own hands. It was a symbol of legacy, of family, of a future she had thrown away. And now, she wanted it. She called it a priceless marital asset. She knew exactly what it meant to me, and that's precisely why she fought for it. It was a petty, transparent power play. Her family was no better. Her parents, Adrian and Lena, called not to understand, but to lecture and condemn me. Ara made a decision for her own body, Julian, Lena had screamed at me over the phone. And you're punishing her by destroying your marriage. I'm not punishing her, I replied calmly. I'm accepting her decision and making my own. You can't have a marriage when you're working from two completely different blueprints. The one beacon of sanity in this whole hurricane of madness was Ara's younger sister, Kayla. She was 27, a graphic designer, and possessed an emotional intelligence that her sister sorely lacked. She called me about a week after the split, her voice soft and apologetic. I am so sorry, Julian, she whispered. I don't know what Ara was thinking. She told me she'd been feeling this way for over a year. I told her, I begged her, to talk to you. I never imagined she would just ambush you like that. Hearing her words, it was like a dam inside me broke. I talked for an hour straight, pouring out all the frustration, the hurt, the sense of utter betrayal. And Kyla, she just listened. She didn't judge. She didn't make excuses for her sister. She just got it. We started talking more regularly, first through texts, then long phone calls. She was funny and smart, and she actually appreciated the art cabinet, asking about the joinery and the type of wood I'd used. It was so refreshing to talk to someone who didn't see me as the villain in this story. Last week, we met for coffee. It wasn't a date. It was just two people who had been shipwrecked by the same storm, finding a small patch of dry land to stand on together. She told me her family was putting immense pressure on her to talk some sense into me. She had refused. "My sister lied to you for over a year, Julian," she said, her eyes meeting mine over the rim of her latte. "She let you buy a house for a family she knew she didn't want. That's not a simple change of mind. That's a betrayal." Hearing her validate my feelings so simply was a bigger relief than I could ever express. Ara, of course, found out we met. She went ballistic, accusing me of having an affair with her sister while we were still married. It was just another layer of her toxic entitlement. In her mind, she was allowed to detonate our entire life, but I wasn't allowed to find comfort anywhere, especially not within her orbit. The harassment got so bad, my lawyer had to send a cease and desist. And the best part? We won the argument, over the art cabinet. My lawyer produced receipts for the lumber dated 2 years before our wedding. Ara was furious. She wasn't just losing the marriage anymore. She was losing control, and she absolutely could not stand it. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. It felt like a lifetime had passed. Ara's audacious claim for alimony was unceremoniously dismissed after her own Instagram account showed her living it up on lavish international vacations. Her lawyer quietly dropped the emotional distress angle. The house, our supposed dream home, was sold. After the assets were split, we both walked away with a decent nest egg. I immediately invested mine in a new condo. It was smaller, but it was all mine, a space untainted by lies. The art cabinet sits proudly in my new living room. It looks better here, and Carla and I, we're together. It happened slowly, then all at once. It was the most natural, organic thing in the world. The coffee dates turned into dinners. The dinners turned into movie nights at my new place. Then one evening, as we were laughing at some silly comedy, I looked at her, and I just knew. It just felt right. We've been a couple for 7 months now, and to say it caused an explosion in her family would be a colossal understatement. It was a full-on, cataclysmic event. When Ara found out, she went scorched earth. She screamed, she cried, but then she took it to a new, venomous level. She tried to poison everyone against Carla, weaving a despicable narrative that Carla had been a conniving snake, waiting in the wings for years to seduce me at my most vulnerable. And her parents, Adrienne and Lena, bought it hook, line, and sinker. They called Carla and disowned her. Her own father told her she was dead to him for dancing on the grave of her sister's marriage. They cut her off completely. It was brutal, and for a week, Carla was a wreck, consumed by a guilt she didn't deserve. I just held her, let her cry, and reminded her that we were just living in the crater that Ara's lies had created. Ara's dirty tricks got even more pathetic. She discovered Carla had landed a major freelance project with a beverage company and tried to sabotage it, sending an anonymous email filled with lies about Carla being a homewrecker and unstable. But it backfired spectacularly. The project manager, a woman who had been through a nasty divorce herself, saw right through the venom. She called Carla, forwarded the email, and then extended her contract, putting her on retainer. Ara's attempt to ruin Kayla's career ended up giving her a massive promotion. That whole ordeal solidified us. We were a team, and the rest of the world was just noise. 6 weeks ago, Kayla and I flew to the coast. On a windswept beach, with a random stranger as our witness, we got married. It was quiet, simple, perfect, and completely ours. We are deeply, genuinely happy. We even bought a dog, a goofy golden retriever who now fills our condo with joy. And we've started talking about our own timeline, about starting a family. The dream, I thought, had died. We decided to keep our marriage a secret from her family, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal it. And we knew that moment was coming. Christmas was just around the corner. The final domino fell on Christmas Eve. Kayla's grandmother, the formidable matriarch of the family, had demanded a holiday reconciliation. Attendance was mandatory. The moment we walked into her house, the festive atmosphere evaporated. Adrienne and Lena shot us looks that could curdle milk. Ara was holding court by the fireplace, a smug, self-satisfied smirk plastered on her face. Then, after a tense hour of gift-giving, it was our turn. It was time. Kayla handed a small, beautifully wrapped gift to her mother. "We have something to share with you," she said, her voice unwavering. Lena opened it with a look of pure disdain. Inside was a simple, silver picture frame, empty, except for an engraving. Coming June 2026. Tucked inside the frame was a small card. It was an ultrasound picture. Lena just stared. Her face went completely blank. She passed it to her husband Adrian, whose jaw literally dropped. Ara, sensing the dramatic shift in the room, sauntered over. "What's going on? What is it?" she asked, peering over her father's shoulder. And then she saw it. I will never, for as long as I live, forget the look on her face. It was a full system. Short circuit. The smugness, the entitlement, the confidence. It all shattered into a million pieces. You're pregnant?" she whispered, her voice cracking. Kayla calmly placed a hand on her stomach and looked directly at her sister. Her expression wasn't triumphant. It was serene. "We're married, Ara," she said calmly. "And yes, we're having a baby." The meltdown was instantaneous. It wasn't just yelling, it was a primal scream of pure loss and unadulterated fury. "You stole my life!" she shrieked, a trembling finger pointed first at Kala, then at me. "That was supposed to be my house, my husband, my—" She couldn't even say the word. "Baby." I stepped in front of Kala, a barrier between her and the storm. I looked at Ara, my voice devoid of all emotion. "Nobody stole anything from you, Ara," I said, my words cutting through her hysteria. "You gave it away. You held a winning lottery ticket in your hand, and you set it on fire because you decided you didn't want the prize. Kayla and I just picked up a different ticket." I then turned to her shell-shocked parents. "And you too," I said, my gaze unflinching. "You disowned one daughter for the crime of finding happiness, all to protect the one who lied to everyone. You chose your side. I hope you're happy with it." Adrienne and Lena looked utterly broken. You could see the frantic, desperate calculations happening behind their eyes. The dream of being grandparents was finally coming true, but it was with the daughter they had cast aside and the man they had branded a villain. Their only path to their first grandchild was through us, the people they had publicly condemned. Ara was just sobbing now, incoherent ramblings about betrayal and unfairness. We didn't stay for the rest of the show. Kala took my hand, and we walked out of that house, leaving the wreckage of their choices behind us. The car ride home was silent, but it was a comfortable, peaceful silence. As we pulled into our driveway, Kayla finally spoke, her voice a soft whisper. "I feel free," she said, and I knew exactly what she meant. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. A text from Lena. "Kayla, please, let's talk." Then one from Adrian. "We are so sorry. We want to be in our grandchild's life." We ignored them both. Last night, Kayla and I were in the nursery, which is now painted a soft, gentle yellow. I was showing her the art cabinet, how the secret latch in the base worked. I opened the hidden compartment and revealed the old carving. Tools my grandfather had left for me, nestled safely inside. "He would have liked you," I said, my voice thick with emotion. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her hand resting on her belly, where our future was growing. "I think he would have too," she whispered. "This is my life now. It's not the life I meticulously planned on a bar napkin all those years ago. It's messy, it's unexpected, and it's a million times better. It's real." Ara didn't just lose a husband that day. She made her announcement. She lost the future she so casually threw away, and now she has to watch it unfold, happy and beautiful, right next door. That's not revenge. It's just cause and effect, and it's a kind of justice I can live with.